Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Leads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one is a part of the last round before the playoffs. The Chiefs taking on the Highlanders down in Dunedin. This game, there's a bit of excitement going into it. If the Chiefs win this one with a bonus point, they will be sitting top of the table and they will not be caught by any other side. Whereas the Highlanders, they are sitting bottom of the bunch. But if they win this, they can finish as high as 9th at the end of the regular season, but they can also be the thorn in the Chiefs' sides that cause them not to have that home, maybe you could say final, you could say semi at this stage. It's very hard to tell how far some sides are making it, but if you're basing it off last week, you'd certainly say the Chiefs got plenty left and the gas tank. Looking through at the starting lineup, first of all for the Highlanders, it is Ethan de Groot, Jack Taylor and Saula Ma'u who will be in the starting front row. Fabian Holland alongside Cribb in the locking duo. Now, Holland has had a huge amount of praise throughout this week in terms of whether or not he can make it into the ABs. He's definitely a bolter option. He got some very thin minutes with them in terms of inside of the camp last year, but would certainly fit into a side the way that he's been playing. Looking through at the loose forward trio, it is TK Howden, Lasanga, and also Sean Withy in the number 8 jersey. Pakatava and Miller, it's a 19 combination. Tavatavanawa alongside Talia in the middle of the park. Then Philemoni, James Lowe, and Jacob Ratamaitavuki-Nepkins as the number 15 for the Chiefs. Looking through at their starting side, once again, pretty similar to what we saw last week, in which they, well, you know, they beat Moana Pacifica, but they did destroy them in that contest. 80-plus points scored throughout that game, about 13 tries, something ridiculous like that. But Prophet, Slater, and O'Neill, they will be the front row. Josh Lord and Tupavai in the locking duo with Summer Penny Finau, Luke Jacobson, and Wallace Satiti as the loose forward trio. Xavier Rowe alongside Damian McKenzie. So actually no Cortez Ratama in the starting side for this contest. Quintapai and Daniel Rona in the middle. Tino Nana Satoro out on one wing. That is due to the injury that we saw of Amoni Narawa, Leroy Carter, and Sean Stevenson at number 15. In the chat we have got there, come on the South Islanders. We have got there, come on the Chiefs. You are a minute late, Hamish says Kiwi Rob. I don't think it quite ticked over to 7:01, but if anyone was going to complain about something for the kickoff, it would have been you, Kiwi Rob. We should have bet money on it. We have got there, evening, Hamish. Will you be covering the British and Irish Lions tour on the channel? We certainly will be. Every single game will be covered on the channel. Will you be covering the URC quarterfinals this weekend? We certainly will be as well. We have already scheduled that first match taking place between the Stormers and the Glasgow Warriors, scheduled for 6:15 tomorrow morning. And yeah, the last live stream of the day in terms of the Crusaders versus Brumbies will take you straight over to that stream as well. We've got their Chiefs by 30. Come on, the Chiefs, says Kiwi Rob. Interesting. You're supporting the Chiefs in this contest. I would have never guessed it. We have got their greetings from Arania Hamish. Go the Chiefs, says Gerhard. And let's go Highlanders, says BFTA. Well, that's the thing. Like the Highlanders, they can't win the season. They can't make it to the playoffs, but they can certainly cause some problems in that top 6. And the way that it sits at the moment, like I said, if the Chiefs get themselves the bonus point win, they can kiss that number 1 spot. Well, not really goodbye. They can kiss a hello. Do you kiss people hello? I don't know whether you do, but they will be number 1 on the overall standings. Bonus point win is all they require. The Chiefs, they've got their 1 point clearance, but if they were only to get, let's say, 2 points from this game, or maybe even only the 4, does mean that the Crusaders can get that a little bit closer, although points differential really not working for them, so that will mean anyway that we do get to see the Chiefs go through. The only way that they can't get themselves through is if they lose this game. And they're down in Dunnes. The Zoo looks like it's absolutely pumping today as well, which is fantastic to see. Cam Miller, the youngster who unfortunately did miss that last-minute kick in the game up against the Crusaders. A narrow loss last week for this Highlanders side, but they showed a lot of fight. They look like the better side in Christchurch. They have to look like the better team here, though, and that is tricky to do up against the informed Chiefs. We have got there, go the Crusaders, says Stu's World, and Love Cam Miller says Stu's World. And we have got there, do you think there is any All Blacks will be picked at the end of this game from the Highlanders, considering this is the last chance of the Highlanders players? I think Fabian Holland's looking good. I think that Ethan de Groot, even if you still feel a little bit uncertain about up and down wise for his season, Scott Robertson will probably still select him for a little bit of consistency. And then there's always the chance of a bolter into Mothi Tavatavanawa or maybe Jacob Ratamaitavuki-Nepkins. One of those two could find themselves in the AB's environment as well. We have got there Ethan de Groot maybe, says Gerhard. And I love Cam Miller should be an All Black, says Stu's World. And coming the Highlanders knock that Chiefs back off their high horse, says Dev. Well, that's the thing. Like, the Chiefs, they come into this game full of confidence. And it's to me a little bit similar to what we saw last year for the Hurricanes. How they were near the top. They weren't sure if they could be beaten. Yes, they got beaten every once in a while in the season, but they came in with huge confidence. And who was it that knocked them out? It was the Chiefs, who came from a lower position. We have got Zion in the chat. Good evening, Hamish. Evening room. Says that Zion in there as well. But we are almost ready to go. Damian McKenzie still heavily strapped wrist. Of course, injuries. That is one thing that both of these sides would love to avoid, mainly the Chiefs, as they will be playing in next week and possibly the weeks after that. But we are underway down in Dunners. Like I said, Damian McKenzie taking huge contact off the bat from one of the leading tacklers in the comp, and Fabian Holland. And will Luke Jacobson make the All Blacks? It's honestly a tricky one because I do think that they'd select Satiti ahead of Jacobson. And then I do think that Robertson would probably select Blackadder ahead of Jacobson. But then can Blackadder stay uninjured for long enough when they get selected? Chiefs never struck me as a team to be cocky or overconfident, says Gerhard. And Chiefs all the way, says Zion. And they're doing good luck Blues, says Bradley. Of course, the two games happening tonight really secure the top three. And then from there, we get to see the next matches tomorrow, which will determine the rest of the positions. But passing it out wide, it's going to be Daniel Rona. Inside ball from Damian McKenzie. Beautiful flick pass with the no-look. And the Chiefs at the moment, it looks like they're just going to pick up right from where they left off last week. Cross kick attempted here from Quinn Tupai. Goes all just over the head of Leroy Carter, who was lurking. And he is another guy who's probably in that All Blacks contention for July. This is the table, the way that it currently sits. So no matter what, if the Chiefs win this game, they secure number one spot. Unless the Crusaders win their next game by like 130 points or something like that. So I think they're kind of saying that's off the table now. Scott Robertson is in Gizzy today. The coach got to tell him to put Artie at 7, says Paul. Well, that's the thing. Like, Artie Savia, at what stage, if they are going to, like, this would be the perfect season to do it because he has been playing in that number 7 jersey all throughout the year. We have there, Sky Sport New Zealand did a breakdown of the top 6, so I'd assume that they said something similar to the fact that the Chiefs at the moment have got a very good chance at qualifying first as long as they can win this game. The Highlanders kicking that one, we'll have the line out from inside of their 22 after the kick from Damian McKenzie. And what each team need, says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, it's a lot more simple once we got the top 3 confirmed because then we at least know who everyone's playing. But pretty much the Reds are safe, the Hurricanes are safe. The 3 sides playing off at the moment. If Moana Pacifica match whatever the Blues do in their game, Moana go through due to the fact that they have more wins under their belt. If the Blues win with a bonus point, Moana don't, then the Blues go through. And then if Moana and the Blues both lose and the Tars win, they go through to the next stage. And Chiefs playing side-to-side rugby. And the one thing that the Highlanders mentioned before the game was they have to try and shut down that space. Already we've seen a lot of it, though, for the Chiefs in the early goings. Simon Parker at 6, Savia 7, and Satiti at 8. Boomfa, says Johnny Blaze. Decent kick downfield from Falau Fakatava. What is Kieran Reid doing nowadays? He is doing quite a bit of the commentary and the punditry. I think it's wrong for the Blues to play first tomorrow. If it makes you feel better, they already had it confirmed before the Blues had a bit of a lackluster season. Like, this could have been their game where they were already at the top of the table. No one was catching them, but it's just the way that the draw set out. Now, Xavier Rowe going off to the left-hand side. Bradley Slater hits it up, currently just inside a Highlanders territory. A bit of a wrestle there between Tenuelu Talia and Wallace Satiti, but Stevenson going across to the right-hand side finds Leroy Carter, who does bump off. Falau Fakatava gets the pass away to Quinn Tupaia. Doing very well in terms of shifting that ball, the Chiefs. And there's just always a man ready for that next pass. Big driving tackle, though, from Timothy Tavanawai. Jacobson plays half. Slater decides to switch it back to the right where McKenzie is tackled on the halfway line. And Highlanders all the way, says Aloy. And we have got their Crusaders still more to win, says Bradley. And good to see Etienne back in the action. Sad to see Amoni out. Yeah, it's a big shame for Amoni Narawa. Although I did see an update on him, and it wasn't a broken nose, I don't think. I think it was his cheek that was Was it his cheek? No, he got hit on the nose. His nose was bleeding, but I don't think the injury was as severe as first anticipated. I haven't seen an update since seeing like the team list in terms of what they said it was, but I'm sure it said that it wasn't his nose, which was weird. And come on, the Chiefs try and get a try. Smash them Landers. Oh, that's a smash in the air. I think that was Philemoni and Sean Stevenson both going up for the same ball, both coming down at an awkward angle. Leroy Carter now tackled around the halfway line. Chiefs just shifting right to left at the moment. Trying to find that next gap. Now nice pass, quick hands from the Chiefs. Wallace Satiti about 40 metres out from his line. So the Chiefs have lost about 15 metres. Now a little chip in behind from Damien McKenzie waiting for the bounce. The ball sits up perfectly. Draw and pass. And it should be the finish for Rona, but he puts it on the inside to Summer Penny Finau. That is a phenomenal try once again from the Chiefs. They are looking the real deal at the moment, ladies and gents. They have linked up perfectly there, found every single next pass. It looked like they were playing sevens, the way that the next man was waiting for it. And then just charging forward, pops it on the inside to Summer Penny Finau. It does get the ball down. What are the odds like? I think the Highlanders were about $5 underdogs in this matchup. And we have got the afternoon, says Katzenau. Nice, says Rodney. We have got no try, says Stu's World. Is that because you're hoping that the Crusaders can overtake them, or because you actually saw something that was a reason for no try? That kick has gone over. 6 minutes into this contest now, and it is going to be 7-0 in favour of the Chiefs. Once again, a absolutely brilliant try being scored. They are really putting together a highlight reel this season. Yes, that's the reason, says Stu's World. I assume it was. I was trying to look for like a forward pass or anything, but there was nothing near it. And right now, Highlanders $7.50, Chiefs $1.07. Okay, so they're going up about $2 since the start of the game. This is how to address the rush D. Yeah, just a little bit too much space in behind for Mackenzie's little chip. And found the perfect spot set up, and they just went from there. Finau says, don't forget about me, says Rodney. You see, he's an interesting one as well, whether or not he is in the contention for that number 6 jersey. Are you doing the next match in Super Rugby? We certainly are. We've got it all scheduled. Brumbies versus Crusaders. That will determine the other 2 positions inside of the top 3. Now, if the Highlanders somehow win this game, then that will be to determine who finishes number 1. Whereas if the Chiefs win this game, then that is to determine who finishes number 2. Now, backline movement here for the Highlanders. Timothy Tavanawa gets through the tackle attempt of Atena Nana Satoro and fends off Rona 2. About 30 metres out now for Lau Whakatava off to Holland. Although onto the ball, Atena Nana Satoro. He's got the clean steal for the Chiefs. First game back in a long time for that man, but Mackenzie inside of his 22. Looking to run this one forward, trying to dodge the big props. He's done just that. Ball off beautifully to Jacobson and Xavier Rowe there for the next support run, but the ball's stolen on the ground by the Highlanders. Every single breakdown is just back and forth at the moment. Both sides seem on the verge. Oh, that's going to be a knock-on from Sean Withy. So now the counter-attack coming from the Chiefs. Jacobson stepping through Taylor. Now back to the right-hand side. They cannot play at this pace, I wouldn't think, for the 80 minutes without someone starting to gas out. But it's kicked downfield. Rowe. Awkward bouncing ball, but it will pull up just outside of the goal line of the Highlanders. And Ratamaitavuki Nepkins puts it into touch. When will the All Blacks announce their squad? I believe it's about June 23rd or so that they are going to be going with it. What's your opinion on the try that Nigel Owens commented about? No idea what try that was. I assume it was the Savia one, if I had to guess, but I haven't seen anything about Nigel Owens in the last little while. Is Rona in the All Blacks conversation yet? Turning out to be a mature and reliable option for the Chiefs. He's a guy that's very underrated, I think, in terms of the amount of good things that he does, but never really gets the recognition for it. Like, anytime someone talks about the midfield combo for the Chiefs, it's always, they either say Quintu Paia or they say Anton Leonard-Brown. So, like, for Daniel Rona, he has been a consistent option, and anytime those guys have gone down with injuries, he stepped up in the gap. Another penalty going the way of the Chiefs here. No, it was a schoolboy rugby one. Well, then I have no idea which one it was. And now Rush D will think twice to rush. And yeah, like the Highlanders said before the game, they had to shut down space. Now, unfortunately, if you rush up to try and shut down the space, you leave yourself susceptible to that little bit of a chip. And Mackenzie has got that skill up the sleeve. He's also got a nice kick into touch here for another line out. It's time for the Chiefs. Looked like it was Lasangu who just wasn't able to roll away in time. The Chiefs' red zone lineout, they've scored 21 tries throughout this season from them. Sean Stevenson needs to be in the All Blacks somewhere. Yeah, I agree. I think that he's definitely proved himself throughout this season. Plus, if they're going with McKenzie as a fly half option, and maybe, you could see a Chiefs player in the midfield and Quintapaya. And then you've possibly got Leroy Carter out on the wing. And maybe Narawa if he's back from injury. So I think you've got to have that consistency of one team in there if you're going to build a backline involving so many Chiefs players. Now Rowe going off to the left-hand side, currently 22 metres out from the line here for the Chiefs. Rush defence on Damian McKenzie. Once again, though, ball out wide. Sean Stevenson goes to it. Tino Natasatoro, missed tackle from Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins, only 5 metres out from the line. Rowe goes short side. Jacobson does very well to hang on to that ball as it was all but through the fingertips. Tupavai's over the line, and he scores again. It's just too quick from the Chiefs. They're tearing this Landers defence apart, something that the Crusaders really struggled to do throughout the 80 minutes last week. But the Chiefs, they've already scored almost the same amount of points as the Crusaders in only the first 10 minutes. Do the Highlanders still have a chance making the playoffs? No chance whatsoever. The highest they can finish is 9th. That wasn't a try because one of the Chiefs ran behind his own player, says Kiwi Rob. Although I think because of the space and because none of the Highlanders players actually tackled that man who was in front, that's why it wasn't called as obstruction. We have got there. Wow, here we go, says Rodney. And how do you feel about Rugby 25 with the new updates? Still bad? I actually haven't picked up Rugby 25 in about a month. And from what I've seen, it's still not the best. It's getting there. Hopefully, by the time we get into July internationals, it will be a lot stronger. Yes, they can, says Non-Mum. And we have got there, will be the fourth this season, says Jason. We have got their daughter 6, so yet again, home game I'm missing, says Jason. So yeah, this will be the last home game of the season for the Highlanders. And going into this contest, it seemed like they were fired up, ready to go. Sean Stevenson, Kiwi Rob, that was who he ran into, yes, but because no one touched Sean, that's why there was no obstruction called. Have you been to the Gold Coast? I think so. I think I went when I was a lot younger. Is that where all the theme parks are? Is that the Gold Coast or is that Sunshine? I think that's Gold Coast, isn't it? Because if it's Gold Coast, I have been when I was a lot younger. Cam Miller now running forward the Highlanders around the halfway line. Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins running straight at Bradley Slater, as well as Jared Prophet, so deciding to go straight at the two. That's such a good pickup. It's going to be the try for Tupavai. That is clean from the Chiefs yet again. It sounds like I'm praising them too much, but they are honestly just on fire throughout this matchup. That was one of the cleanest smashing tackles that ended up with the ball popping up straight into the hands of Tupavai. It doesn't get much better than that in terms of physicality, but just rushing up. Miller dropped the ball, gave it up to Tupavai, and you don't normally see a lock being able to get an interception like that. And you see is where all those 3 sizes too small bikini cladded baddies are at, says Johnny Blaze. I mean, I probably went there when I was about 6, so I was probably more interested in the theme park and the rides and whatnot, rather than the baddies, as you say. How good would the Chiefs versus Stormers match be? Too much flair, says Robin. And also, we have got to stop praising them too much. Well, it's hard not to when they're 19-0 up after 14 minutes. It's just a very, very good bit of play. I'll praise the Crusaders as well if they're playing well. Don't worry, Stu. We will give your side a little bit of credit in their later match as well. But what can you say? They have come out in this game, honestly, just as quick as they did up against Moana Pacific. And they came in with a goal, and that was to win this game. And they've decided rather than breezing it, they're going to try and absolutely brutalise the Highlanders in Dunedin. It's already cold enough down there. They don't need to be conceding 70 points. That ball's going to be going. No, little knock on from the Chiefs. So now it is going to be the scrum feed for the Highlanders to play with the hit. Says Rodney, and Maria come the Highlanders comeback. And what time is the Stormers playing? Who do you think is going to win? Well, the Highlanders, not the Highlanders, the Stormers come in as underdogs. Last year, these two sides in Glasgow and Stormers, they met in the quarterfinal, and Glasgow won that one, although Glasgow haven't been in their best form ever throughout maybe the last few months. So, I think the Stormers have got a chance. Not having Valimza, though, is going to be a big hit. And I do think it will take a bit more time to adjust. Do you think the coach of the Chiefs announced he's gone burger after the season have helped the Chiefs? Probably, in what regard? You're saying the Chiefs are trying to win the title for him before he goes, or you're saying that they're motivated because he's leaving to try and prove something? Are you saying it as, they're doing it for the coach, or they're doing it against the coach? And KO or knockout predictions, first round, says Katzenell. Both. So both the negative and the positive of the coach is what they're doing it for. So you could say they're just doing it in that case. I'll be going there end of June. I was going to ask where a good place to eat, says Kiwi Gamer. That's a very scary question to ask Johnny, because he will probably give you a street corner name. But I would say, the thing is, when you go to a place, normally the best thing to do is just search up what's good there. And then whatever your budget is, you go with that. They have all the basics though. McDonald's, KFC if you don't like the other stuff. But can't go wrong with a big old buffet. That normally causes some damage. Now, it's going to be a scrum here. And good morning / evening, Hamish. Welcome in, Fleshin. I'll be honest, the one game out of the quarterfinals that I'm uncertain about doing is Leinster versus Scarlets, because I do think that if I cover it, Scarlets may get beaten, but then they're supposed to get beaten anyway, so I feel like you'd allow me to do that game, wouldn't you? Jacob Ratamaita Vicky Nepkins, once again, kicking this one high. He's going to be chasing after it, but McKenzie manages to claim it under the high ball, gives it off to Atena Nana Satori, who put in the chip in behind. He's going to be, a little bit too short vertically to be able to grab that one, as it just drifts over his head. Now Fabian Holland in possession for the Highlanders when the first game be live for the Springboks. They are playing up against the Barbarians at the end of June. And they will be live. We will be live for it as well. There's a good leg drive there for the Highlanders, moving up to the halfway line, just needing a little bit of something to be able to slow down this Chiefs momentum. Jacob Ratamaita Buki Nepkins going for a kick behind. It will pull up about 5 metres out from the Chiefs in goal area. And McKenzie does a boot it into touch. Right, this is one of the Highlanders' best chances that they have had of the half. So they have to make the most of it. We have got there, it's only 19-0. Let's not get too carried away. Well, yeah, 19-0 after 14 minutes is pretty decent, I would say. You're already in a position of a bonus point, and you're not even a quarter of the way through the match. I think the coach should have rested his top-line players like Damien and Sean, because they could get injured. True, they could. But then at the same time, I feel like they also wanted to continue that momentum. For some of these guys, yes, injuries have plagued a lot of teams throughout the season. That's a nice little chip behind from Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. He tried to do what McKenzie did before. Just didn't quite have the support runner there with him. Fakatava back across to Seulamau. Here you go ahead, I don't have a problem. Are we lucky to keep it respectful? Says Fleshin. And leave the season all on the field, Highlanders. You deserve a win, says Shane. And we have got there, it's a kick-ass position, says Keith. And let's go to the Highlanders, says Aloy. Right, another penalty, this time going in favour of the Highlanders, so they will be able to kick this one towards the touchline more than likely, I would think. Don't think you can go for 3 from here, can you? 19-0 down. 1 penalty apiece at the moment. TK Howden, a little bit slow getting back to the huddle. I think he might have been on the far side waiting for a cross kick. And Highlanders are mad Monday. Bound surely they're fired up tonight. You'd think so. That's the thing. Going into this game, honestly, at kickoff, which I know it's only 15 minutes ago, but before kickoff, everything like that, they look good. They look like they were fired up. They knew that they were going to be meeting a side who are in form. But I guess there's one thing about it, knowing that you're going face-to-face with them, but then when they're actually playing, that might have been a deliberate knockdown by McKenzie. No, it was in the process of the tackle, they have said, so it will just be the knock-on advantage for the Highlanders. They have got the possession. It is Lasanga now. So Falau Fakatava looking for the short ball. to Stalemate, the first game of the mid-year test, and Namibia versus Uganda, and then it's a Lions versus Argentina, says Kiwi Rob. You know what, Namibia versus Uganda could be a bit of a banger, because those two sides, there's some pretty big blokes in both of those teams, I will say. Now, ball's coming out the side, picked up by Taniwelu Talia, who must have been only just onside at the time when he picked up that ball. Now, Stalemate, 10 metres out from the line, is Leroy Carter in the starting lineup. He certainly is. Almost scored earlier on in this matchup. Definitely one of the bolters, I think, for the ABs. Tamothi Tavanawai put the ball on the outside to Teniala Philemoni. 10 metres out. Tavanawai, tackled by Vai. Now wrestled backwards by Leroy Carter. Two physical specimens going at each other. Now about 12 metres out. Slowly losing metres here for the Highlanders, so they have to get something going soon. TK Howden goes off to Falau Fakatava Miller, across to Jacob Ratamatavuki Napkins, but he's dropped that ball. It was a knock on, they've said. So it will now be the scrum feed for the Chiefs. The Chiefs are bullying teams at the moment. Just stop, says them in the 11th. Hello, says them in the 11th. Welcome in. But the thing is, right, and I still think back to last year, and I'm sorry for saying it, anyone who does support the Highlanders, but it can happen. You can be in some brilliant form going into it. Just have those final moments or one game go wrong and then you're out. Now, the benefit that the Chiefs will have is if they finish at the top of the bunch, they have got the lifeline. But after that, when you're in the semis, there is no lifeline from there. You have to make sure you're winning. And that is exactly what they're trying to do. And they're trying to win games by a lot of points at the moment. You know, there's no 3-point victories as of late. They're going for the 70-pluses. We have Gadir Carter as a bit of a dog in the defense. That's what sometimes that 7 circuit can do to you. When you know that if you're in a one-on-one situation in sevens, you miss a tackle, they score a try, and everyone goes, that was your fault. So you learn how to be very good in the one-on-one defense, but he's got a bit of aggression to him, to Leroy Carter. And now already the Chiefs, that's the big difference. They ran 1 or 2 passes and maybe 1 or 2 phases, and they gained 50 metres. Just like that, they're up to halfway. I think the Highlanders will win Super Rugby in 2027. Jamie Joseph is building nicely. Says them in the 11th. And also, hi guys and girls, says, you're rough, welcome in. We do a prediction of the All Blacks before the finals? Probably. I'm not sure what week we'll do it. I know that they're being announced at about the 23rd of June. The biggest problem about doing a prediction now is about 5 guys are probably going to be injured by the time the squad comes out. So that makes it a bit more tricky. Oh, where's the Gold Coast massage parlour? Bro needs to know where to get a happy ending, says Johnny Blaze. Now pass there from Stevenson, just knocked on by Quinn Tupaia. All right, Jack Taylor goes off to Fabian Holland. Referee telling them to just play it, and it looks like it will be. Working it out of the 22, Taniwelu Talia. And we have good there, looks thrashing already, says Anoy. Is G still well? They've started this match extremely well. And got to be good news with Crucial Highlanders extending contracts, except to Groot. As don't support that one, says Jason. Now back across to the right-hand side. Or in fact, left that would be. Right-hand side of the field as we're looking at it from the Chiefs' defence. But one's kicked in the touch by Fakatava. And we have got, when you're doing Springbok team, a little bit the same. We've got to wait a little bit longer to make sure no one else is injured. But they normally announce the Springboks, I think it's either after the quarters or after the semis. I can't actually remember what date it was last year. I'm sure we could find it, but I'm going off to the right-hand side. Good low tackle made on Quinn Tupaia. Highlanders look terrible. Well, it's just been like, you could say the Highlanders look bad, but the Chiefs also look very good. The way that they've been able, little push and shove there between the group and Tupavai. Okay, Ben O'Keefe just warning Ethan Groot, saying, look, don't be an idiot or I'll reverse the penalty. And hi, Hamish, hopefully Chiefs don't do an Auckland Knights and lose at home being the top all season, says Laurie. It's the thing, it can happen. And it has happened multiple times. Just ask head office about the box team, says Rock. Ask head office. As in, like, just ask Rassie, just send him a message, you think. I'll see if I've got the info while we've got this kick into touch. We'll go like that. We'll go like that as well. It is slowly loading. That one's going to be overthrown, but the Highlanders have now got themselves the possession yet again. Jonah Lowe running it forward. And we have got, I like German buns, especially BBW. You're talking about the same thing Johnny's talking about, aren't you, I assume? Oh, that's a big shot. I think that was Cam Miller lined up early this time by Tupove. That one has gone into touch. Leroy Carter decides against throwing it quickly. And Canes and Sada's only chance to beat Chiefs, says Annoy. Yeah, that's a big shot. It was actually Samapeni Finau that time rather than Tupavai. Right. I don't see a date at the moment in terms of what date they're going to announce the team. I assume it's normally after the semis, I think it was last year. They've got their first game on the 28th of June. I think the All Blacks are the 23rd, if I'm not wrong. And June 23rd, naming of the All Black squad from midday. Says Kiwi Rob. We over there June 23rd, and after June 13th, says Rock. Oh, so is that's after the final or the semis? They've got a week off somewhere in there, don't they? For the URC, and Tava is exactly what the ABs need, says Scrotimus. Are you playing him as a winger or a centre out of curiosity? Because I feel like that kind of splits opinion. Some like him in the centre, some think that he should be back out on the wing. Now running this one forward. It's Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins trying to get that ball away as the Chiefs were trying to hold him up in a rolling ball. And we over there, Tava is exactly on. I read that one, didn't I? And Big Buns Workshop says, you're rough. That's going to be a nice pass from Jonah Lowe. Goes on the outside to Lasangu, who tries a bit of a grub. It gets around McKenzie, who had to deal with all sorts of awkwardness, and Lasangu just physicality, forcing him backwards. It was nicely done by Lasangu. I was just checking the odds at the moment, and the odds are not in the favour of the Highlanders. At this point in time, it does look like they are going to be in a little bit of trouble. But this is what they need. Some big moments like this. To be fair, the Highlanders got nothing to lose. They can really make this game, or they can make this a real game if they want, says Seller. And Brumbies vs Crusaders final up the Chiefs, says Royden. And we have got there, that was good by the Landers, says Rodney. And be playing him at 12 because we lack any go forward in the midfield, says Scrotimus. So who's your guy on the outside in that case? Are you going with... See, that's the thing. There are a few options that you could go with, theoretically. You could look at someone like a Billy Proctor. Some might even still stick with Ioane just because of that experience, but I don't think many people are doing that. I think Proctor's more so the guy that people are looking at. Maybe even go with someone like a Daniel Rona. And we have got there, the scoreboard doing great today. Who's doing the maintenance? No idea, but it's actually keeping up, which is quite a welcome change. Both teams are sus on TAB. I assume that's suspended. Oh, Quintupai is down, is he? No, that looks like... Oh, that is Daniel. Oh, no, that is Quintupai. I think he might have been knocked out. He's also got a bit of a cut on his eye. This might be a bit of an ugly one here for Quintupai. And the last thing the Chiefs want to do is when they've got such a winning formula to lose players due to injuries. And damn, says Mr. Orlin. And damn, right, Proctor, 13 starter. If you look on Google Maps, it now says where Lockie's food trailer is in Oamaru. Says Kiwi Gamer. They are just showing the form at the moment for the Highlanders. They have lost... They've lost 9 of their last 10 games, the Highlanders. They took far too long for me to add up. They won 2 of their first 3. And then for the Chiefs, they have lost 4 games so far this year. Up against the Hurricanes. Up against the Brumbies. Both of those sides could be in the top 4. And $26 for the Highlanders, and Phil Pakatava and his AB chances are gone. Maybe future Kaletahi. Yeah, I would happily see him in that Tongan side. Him and Patrick Pellegrini, that would be a pretty awesome 9-10 combination. We're just waiting to find out a little bit of an update here on Quinn Tupai. Looks like Josh Jacob has got his coat off, so he might be the man making his way on very shortly. As the way that Tupai was down, I don't see a way that he continues in this contest. But the thing is, you know, if you've got a HIA, it's a pretty long stand down in regards of playoff rugby. You know, you've got 2 weeks that you have to wait out. So that would mean that Tupai can't come back until the final of Super Rugby, I believe. Although with it being a Friday game, he might get lucky and might be able to play in the semi. And thanks, Quinn. Every time I pick you, it turns to says Jason. And she's slowing down now a bit, says Colin. Well, to be fair, they did a lot of sprinting in the first 15 minutes of that contest. 3 tries in a row. The Highlanders, I think, have also, like, without it sounding bad, they've woken up a little bit. They're now aware of what's happening and coming at them. But yeah, still a bit more of a stoppage here by the looks of it. I mean, a Chiefs fan at Otago Uni feels great tonight. Says Kakapounders score _. It's a very long name. However, there, true, says Colin. Do you think Geordie will come back to the ABs? I think he will. I don't know what the plan is in terms of whether or not he can be selected in the July internationals. Remember, it's only 19-0. Go the Highlanders, says Stu's World. Right, Josh Jacob has made his way on. Quinn Tupai, not sure what's happened to him in terms of whether or not he is up and walking off by himself or whether he's getting stretchered. Yeah, either way, a bit of a concern here for the Chiefs. Losing Amoni Narawa last week. They're just saying there that whoever did the draw were geniuses in terms of every game working out quite nicely for this last round. We are basically 3 and a bit weeks away from the All Blacks naming. Says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, so Tupai is actually still down at this point. They are getting him onto the stretcher in the near future. Just got a sneaky feeling the Chiefs are still going to take it out. Says Colin, and Tony Brown warming up on the sideline, says Crimson. 26 minutes in. A great start to the contest. Ethan de Groot taking a few deep breaths, and this will be a nice welcome break for some of those forwards. As the tempo that it was being played at right at the start of this contest was pretty hectic. Just showing some of the highlights early on. That McKenzie chip in behind to lead to the first try of the contest. Rona linking up with Summer Penifino, who's already had a pretty big game. He put on a few big shots earlier on too. Did you see the ex-ABs player Hamish for the Japan team? If they played against the current ABs, it would be epic. See the ex-ABs player for the Japan team. Which one are we talking, Laurie? We have got the Islanders time to regather. Yeah. And that will be, you know, tactically they'll have to work out what their next plan is. Geordie Proctor, the first crack at France. Says Shane. I'm actually a bit curious about, it must have been a bit of friendly fire for Tupai, or maybe just hitting his head on the ground, because they haven't shown a replay. And normally, you know, if it was foul play or anything along those lines, we would have seen something being shown. So I think it was just a bit of an accident for him. They are just showing All Blacks versus France. Still available tickets for Dunedin and Wellington. I think that George is actually heading down to the Dunedin one. And tickets still available for the Springboks in Wellington and the Wallabies at Eden Park. Atlanta's a doom, says Metal Demon. Yeah, man, that looked bad, says Mr. Allin. And there as well. But it does seem like Tupai. Okay, Luke Jacobson actually getting a little bit of chat there from Ben O'Keefe in terms of working out whether or not that last scrum was good. I guess that's one bonus of a big stoppage, is you get a bit more time to work out tactics. Like I said, on Highlanders fans and the media truck doing the editing. Cheers, Stu's World. Well, I would say if it wasn't foul play, it's actually quite well done by the Highlanders editors, or the Sky Sport editors it would actually be. I don't think they hire them based off the location around the country. But like, to not show what could be quite a severe injury if you don't have to is actually, I think, the better way of going about it. You know, because he was clearly knocked out and he had blood trickling down from pretty much his eyelid or somewhere. So, yeah, a little bit of an ugly one. So they've done quite well to not have to show it. In that case, they chose a Japanese team with Mo'unga, Frizzell, Aaron Smith, Perenara. Oh, okay, so you're saying if they were all selected from their top 14, or sorry, top league sides, it would be an interesting game. There's some great players from New Zealand over in Japan. And come on, Jamie Joseph. Jamie Joseph ordering what wood to get the spoon made out of. Here's Jason. Now just showing Timothy Tavatavanawai, 5 carries, 41 metres made already for that man. Have you heard the rumour that the French players want to go to New Zealand as full near strength as possible? I have. By the sounds of it, the only ones who don't want them to go over as full strength are actually the coaches of the... Well, I think it's the coaches of the club teams, isn't it? As well as, like, Galtier kind of said, meh, we'll send over the best we can type thing. But, yeah, the players are all saying if they can, they want to get on the flight. A head clash, a finger on the eye. I'm not actually too sure. I didn't go back to recheck it, which I probably should have. But, yeah, it didn't look too good for him. It looked like he might have been knocked out as well as an eye problem. They're showing there Caleb Tangitau is been announced till 2028. I'm talking about George. When we be back on, no, there will be no Welcome Back George parade a few hours before, says Kiwi Gamer. I mean, he was in the Rugby 25 video, so I guess once Rugby 25 is a good game, we'll be starting up that series again, but until then, we are just eagerly awaiting a few changes. How tall is Wallace Satiti? I'll go on Google. It's a lovely tool. He is 1.87 metres, so 187 centimetres tall. And we have got there, I'll be pulling the cotton wool, getting D-Mac off pretty soon. Says Shane. Yeah, well, you wonder whether or not at half-time, maybe that's when you make all those changes. Right, Tapia. He is now going to be stretched off the field. He's moving his hands, which is great news, but it did not look too good at all for him. It seems interesting here, though, because they avoid showing him when he's on the ground injured, but they'll show him on the stretcher getting carted off. So I feel like that's a little bit of a contradiction, isn't it? Hey, bro, hope you're well. Landers looking mud or Chiefs playing well? I think the Chiefs are just playing extremely well at the moment. Like, the Highlanders, to their credit, when they've had chances on attack, they haven't done too badly. It's just that the Chiefs came out like a house on fire and just kept on going at them. Facebook said Crusaders versus Brumbies 7:35. Facebook would have been saying that in Australian time as it's 7:35 local kickoff. So don't panic. The game has not started between those two sides. We want the best France coming here. Right, Kuntabaya giving the thumbs up. But yeah, down for a long time. So hopefully he is going to be all right. I think it was friendly fire. I don't see Prophet wheeling away at the ruck. Why does it say 6-2 when I look it up? Because it's probably converted to whatever your local metric system is. Thumbs up is good, says Novmum. I see not much hope for the Southern boys then. Not at this stage. They need a big comeback. Second half's going to have to be just everything firing for them if they want any chance of winning it. To pay a whānau. Glad to see the thumbs up, says Rodney. Yeah, they have brought on Josh Jacobson now, going with the two fly halves type of role with McKenzie and Jacob. That sometimes works, sometimes doesn't for this Chiefs side. So I'm curious to see what kind of damage that can either bring them as a positive or what it does to this backline. Sean Worthy, though, early penalty at scrum time going to the Highlanders. Now, this is a chance straight out in front. 3 points is what you would normally see if there wasn't a 19-point gap. So at 9:35, correct, yes. I need Chiefs minus 23.5. You think they can do it? They won't be a mile off, depending on what Highlanders side show up in the second half. I think that's probably the big factor, whether or not they can slow them down. Usually for the fans through the season. Says Jason. I guess it's called the House of Pain after. And Higgins and Tapia injured now. Yeah, unfortunately, the injury numbers in the midfield, Anton Leonard-Brown as well, also with that injury, it's going to take him out for a while, which is once again another reason why I'm leaving it as late as possible. That was close to a grounding, but he might have been just held up, was he? I think Ben O'Keefe's looking for a grounding, never quite found it, so they will get the TMO going. I got it on the ground, is what I've just heard from the breakdown. Okay, I had a player underneath it the whole time. There's been no movement. It's a penalty. Call there from Ben O'Keefe. 27 minutes played, that is correct. Or 29 now, but we had a very long stoppage for a Tapia injury, which left him off or on the ground for about 5 or so minutes. ABS players need to impress yet not get injured. It's a tricky situation, isn't it? Because of course you want to play as hard out as you can, but at the same time, you don't want to lose those opportunities at international level. And a big run from Ethan de Groot. Oh, he might be over the line. Was it a second movement? Ref says no. And Ethan de Groot does score the try. The one that gets the Highlanders their first points of the day. They're going to need multiple more of them. Are you on for that game? We certainly are. Yes, the names for that says Metal Demon. No worries at all. Who about to score? If I had said Ethan de Groot about a minute ago, then I would have been right. But sadly, I wasn't thinking he was going to be the man who crossed the try line. But we're just going to see it from the other angle to make sure that there wasn't no propelling himself forward. You're allowed one movement. He certainly crawled a little bit there for Ethan de Groot, but must have been close enough. That was double movement, says Kiwi Rob. It looked pretty close to it, but they've given it. Try stands. Cam Miller gets the conversion over. It's now making the score 19 points to 7. That's the thing. The big stoppage of the injury in Quinn Tapia, that seems to have changed things a little bit. And maybe that's the thing that the Highlanders needed just to really wake them up. Yeah, just a little shuffle there from Ethan de Groot to get over the try line. Groot says rough. Does Rainbow Dairy still do top taste chicken? I'm not sure what top taste chicken is, but they've got chicken. So maybe it's top taste. Normally when I go, it's not there because they don't do much of it. Now Ethan de Groot will be tackled round the halfway line. Are they screwing over betters? Says Katzenell. Fakatava, an international halfback. I think he's on the verge. Is pretty much the way I'd describe him. And he's always been there, abouts. But the sad reality for him at the moment anyway is, like, unless there's one or two injuries, it just doesn't seem like they're willing to make that switch. At the moment, I think they've got Ratimer, Roygaard, and Hotham probably as their three. In terms of those young guys coming up through the ranks. Fakatava's always thereabouts, but seems to never quite get in there. A bit late in the season to try and shine to Groot. I jump on a plane to Auckland, says Jason. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Damien McKenzie back in the pocket. Puts it up high. Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins went up for the ball, but it is going to be claimed by Daniel Rona. Jacob plays half, goes off to Profit. Pretty much falling over in the process of getting tackled there, and he's knocked the ball on. It's a good kick in behind from Xavier Rowe after it was called as the knock-on, but that's a big moment. Once again, just seems like the Highlanders have found a bit of a rhythm here. It's not much of one. Of course, it's the one try. They need more than that, though. They will need probably another one before the end of the half. Crusaders or Brumbies. Brumbies come in as slight underdogs. Crusaders are considered as the favourite. What are we looking at here? TMO. Three white in an upright tackle. Ruben O'Neill, that is. Who was he tackling? Surely it was the tackle on him. No, it's the actions of Ruben O'Neill. When did he get tackled? How long ago was this? Ethan de Groot pointing at himself saying, me? Ref going, no, not you this time, Ethan. Oh, it's in a breakdown. Where is it? Yeah, no, that was just dumb. That's probably going to be the penalty going the way of the Highlanders. What's happened is there was the clean out and the breakdown happening. Jack Taylor stood up and Ruben O'Neill kind of goes for a jumping shoulder charge. Honestly, Probably lucky if he only gets a yellow card here for something like that. There was no need to jump in there. You're winning by this much. He's upright. He had no intent of going for anything but the head of Jack Taylor. Crusaders are not that good, to be honest. Brumbies for the win, says Colin. See, the problem that he's got is he's jumped into it. Like, if you're going to go for a cheap shot, do it in a way that doesn't make it look like you're going for a cheap shot. So he's going to get a yellow card here for Ruben O'Neill. And the momentum, once again, goes a little bit more in favour of the Highlanders now. And why stupid, says Novmum. But yeah, Ruben O'Neill, I don't know what's made him decide to do that. Guy was standing upright. Shoulder turn, jumps into him while he's standing in an upright position. Silly, says Yuraf. Yeah, just not smart from Ruben O'Neill. Now, and this is the type of game that you're getting your opportunity ahead of someone like a George Dyer or, you know, that sort of thing. And you're just doing something like that. Makes it so that the coach doesn't really want to select you, does he, in those important games? A likelihood of Australia team making it or taking it this year? I mean, it's not the highest, but we could see 2 Australian sides in the top 4. Sounds like it should be a red. The only thing that will save him is the fact that there wasn't massive contact. That's going to be knocked on by Timothy Tavanawai. But, you know, in terms of if we were basing it off the intent of it rather than the connection of it, it's probably a red most times. Idiocracy, a president right there, says Yuraf, and give yourself an uppercut, says Rodney. And Elise Bakatava lost his Sideshow Bob haircut. Just lose the reliance of kicking the ball away and might get us heading in the right direction, says Jason. And after it don't go, it was him and the point it's someone else. Says Kiwi Gamer, kicked him behind from Tenuelu to Lee. Hasn't quite got that one where he would have liked it. Sean Stevenson just lets it roll into touch. Like they've just said, we've hit a bit of a stalemate now between these two sides. It seems like at the moment the Chiefs are just in pretty much rebuild mode, whereas the Highlanders are trying to get an attack going, but it hasn't been the cleanest for them throughout this one. Just said there, a lot of appearances for Tupavai. McKenzie back on the 22. He has his fair share of appearances too. No pending review. Currently being reviewed, the yellow card. They've got 10 minutes to make their decision. They've still got another 8 minutes to be able to decide, but the penalty goes the way of Leroy Carter. No clear release from Daniela Filimboni. Does mean that the Chiefs can now work this one back towards the 22. Sean's had a mixed bag so far coming the Highlanders. Says Stu's World. So Leroy Carter currently supporting a bit of a shiner. And number 1, Woot Woot, says Stu's World. Although, like, if the Chiefs were to lose this game, Stu, the Crusaders still have to beat the Brumbies in Australia, which is something that not many sides have been able to do this season. So, like, it could be the case of, you see, if it did happen, you know, you're hoping that the Chiefs lose this. Then what if the Crusaders lose? Then they would finish 3rd in the overall rankings, rather than potentially, you know, in that 2nd or 1st spot. Now Cam Miller, going back across to the right-hand side, Tenuelu Talia, now trying to charge his way through, tries the offload. It's going to be knocked on by Damian McKenzie accidentally. I don't even think he got his hand up to it, but now offloaded on the outside from Timothy Tavatavanawa. The ball was in touch by Jacob Ratamaita Buki Nepkins, and it's going to be a line-out. No, says Stu. And can I get back to number 1? Says Novma. And great steal that one, says Gerhard. I like a Yankee cop. He will be cleared of any wrongdoing, says Uraf. I can see Sean Stevenson doing a James Lowe overseas, if not chosen against the ABs. Or for the ABs. Yeah, I could see him going either overseas or going to the NRL. He was rumoured at the Dolphins for a little while, but committed to New Zealand rugby. So you kind of hope that it pays off for him. We have got there, the Highlanders should have just stayed on the bus, says Patrick. Penalty, though, goes the way of the Highlanders with Timothy Tavatavanawa. We have good there, Hamish. It will be good. Quarterfinal between Glasgow Warriors and Stormers in the URC. Yeah, hopefully it will be the rematch of what we saw last year with those exact same two sides. Of course, the Sharks are the real difference in the top 8 this year. And so he makes the All Blacks, says Stu's World. Stevenson defence lets him down. At what time are the Stormers playing tomorrow? 6:15 a.m. New Zealand time. So that will be, 6:35 a.m. South African time. So 8:35 p.m. for you guys in South Africa, as well as some areas in the north. But we have got the live stream scheduled, so you will be able to see in terms of the countdown of the stream. Oh, drop ball there from Taniwelu to Leah. Oh no, it was rip ball in the tackle, so it will become a knock on. What's your view on Evan Ruz not in the box alignment camp? By the sounds of it, his dad likes to make phone calls, is the rumour that we got told. Pretty much to do with the way that he fits into the team isn't as smooth as some of the other players. But I also think he had a bit of an injury too, which probably didn't help. But yeah, apparently his dad likes to ring up and ask Rassie why his son's not playing in the team very often. So yeah, Rassie, I think, got sick of him pretty quick. And we have there, let's go Highlanders, says Aloy. And Chiefs looking strong, says Jan Lu. Yeah, looking like a really strong team. Although since that injury of Tapai, I don't know whether or not it's so much the stop that they had, or whether it's actually to do with the shuffle in the backline, Mackenzie and Jacob. Now both trying to play as that kind of number 10 and 12 role. Now backline movement out wide to Taniela Philemoni, got the offer to Jacob Ratamaita Bugi-Nikens. Ball on the inside to Taniela Talia, who was dragged down just short of the try line. That was fantastic defence there from Summer Pinefi now. But now Sean Withy, only sitting 5 metres out from the line. Palau Fakatava goes across to Seulamau. Chance here for the Landers. Cam Miller passes off to Timothy Tavatava. Now why he goes himself. He had to score it, and he does. Because if he didn't, there would have been a bit of booing happening down in Dunedin. But that has got the Highlanders back in this game. That Tupaia injury has changed absolutely everything in this match. Since then, 12-0 in favour of the Highlanders. Good luck with your exams, Cat. Go hard, bro. And so around 2 a.m. I'll be asleep, says Katsanel. And we have got there, might go to the quarterfinals next weekend, says Novmum. And Chiefs need to hit back in the second half, says Novmum. Yeah, just gets that ball down in the end to Mothi Tavatava Nawai. Like I said, he had to get it down, because if he had not scored that, he wouldn't have been a very popular man. He had 2 men on the outside. You'd like to think that if this kick goes over, you could argue that it was very nicely done by Timothy Tavatava Nawai to score it closer to the posts. Now conversion to come. How long to go on this half, says Patrick? About 21 seconds at the moment. So not long at all. But now Cam Miller lining up the kick, gets it over. And we will still have 8 seconds remaining of the half. The score 19 points to 14. Who do you think will take Outsiders versus Brums? Oh, we'll come back to that in a very short moment. It's going to remain a yellow card for Ruben O'Neill. So it's probably, there was, I would say, the factor of him not making massive contact with him is why it was only a yellow. But yeah, I think that the Crusaders after last week's game will be a little bit annoyed just because they managed to win, but they looked in the nicest way possible. They looked awful while doing it. A shame you couldn't wear the green screen suit in honour of Highlanders season. Would sum it up nicely, says Jason. And too cold for the Chiefs. Landers will come back, says Metal. And Clayton will be giving the boys a good talking to in the sheds. I would think so, because this game has gone from fully in control of one side to completely shifting momentum. Highlanders back to $6 underdog, says Kiwi Rob. Even though at times in that first half they were around $21. But yeah, the Brumbies will be a hard side to beat at home. But, I mean, we've seen the Hurricanes. They've shown how to do it. Look at what happened last week. I think the Brumbies, they got themselves the win, didn't they? Or they didn't actually play, sorry. It was the week prior that they beat the Reds 24 points to 14. So, yeah, they don't lose too often at home. They beat the Waratahs 40 points to 17 there. They lost to the Hurricanes. I think that was the only home game that the Brumbies had lost throughout this season. The Highlanders couldn't quite do it. They were close, though, in that match. The Fijian draw were beaten. And then the Brumbies... Oh, no, the Force, sorry. I forgot about that game. 42 points to 45 in favour of the Western Force is a bit of an early upset of the comp. Calm down with the All Blacks. Come on, it will all be over, says Rodney. We do the Crusaders game. We are covering the Crusaders game on the channel as well, so be sure to stick around for that match. Then after that, we've got the URC quarterfinal match between the Stormers and Glasgow Warriors. And then tomorrow, we've also got Waratahs versus Blues, got Hurricanes versus Moana Pacifica, and then 2 or 3 of the other quarterfinals taking place for the URC too. Come on, the Chiefs, you got top of the table 2025. Says Joseph, you think Highlanders will win? If you had asked me after 20 minutes, I would have said probably not much of a chance at all. But ever since, like I said, ever since that injury of Quintupaia, the stoppage of, I would say it was a good 6 minutes, maybe even longer, that seems to have completely ruined the momentum. So, that works pretty nicely in the Highlanders' favour, as they have scored twice since that moment. Highlanders been gifted a chance in this game by fake yellows and illegal at the ruck, says 2M. If they had the Rugby World Club Championship this year, who do you think will win it? Well, I do think Bordeaux look pretty good at the moment in terms of what they were able to do throughout their Champions Cup. I think that, yes, Leinster sometimes do bundle out in the last moments of the URC and the Champions Cup, but maybe a Club World Cup would be a little bit different. Perhaps they could go far. I think that at the moment, the way that the Chiefs are playing, they're looking pretty good indeed. So maybe one of those 3 sides. But then you can't really count out someone like a Toulouse or maybe one of those South African sides looking to cause an upset. There are plenty of teams that could get the job done if they were given the chance. And Chiefs might have smoked too much peace pipe before the game. However, the Highlanders they'll still get slaughtered with the ref trying his best to keep them in it. So I assume that the yellow card's the one that you're not happy about, 2-metre systems, I would assume. Is that the only thing about the Highlanders in this game that you're not happy about? Is there anything that the Chiefs haven't done right, you feel? Now, second half, I would say not a mile away. No bonus point for the Chiefs, and the Crusaders go top of the table, says Stu's World. That is incorrect. With the way that it sits at the moment, the Crusaders would have to win their game by 120-ish points to be able to overtake the Chiefs in terms of the points differential. So as much as you'd like that to be the case, of the Crusaders going top, they actually can't. All the Chiefs need is a win here, or the Crusaders need to absolutely decapitate the Brumbies, which will be hard to do, because the game's taking place in Australia, and not many times in a Super Rugby game do we see a side bring up 120 points, let alone win the game by that much. We have got there, so the Chiefs have 14 players on the field. They do at the moment, yes, but they did not for the first try that was scored by the Highlanders. Who has the best defence of all the teams, says Salah? It's a tricky one, because I feel like it's a little bit dependent on, opinion, a little bit. In terms of who have lost games by a lot, or have conceded a lot, it would have to be one of the top 3, I would say. They're not rolling away at the ruck, making Tavatava Nawai clean out impossible, says 2-metre systems. And Tavatava Nawai, definitely one of those players that you do want to try and shut down in a game. Normally you try and do it legally, of course, but oh, they're going to do catch the Colonel. They didn't actually do that at the game in Christchurch that we went to. Oh, they didn't give. Dave's not going to win that because Dave got set up by the Colonel touching him. Interesting sentence. Oh, Dave's going to win it. The Colonel gave up. Colonel felt bad. Our Highlanders are taking this one, says Elliot. We have got there. I doubt Crusaders could get that amount of points, but based on Chiefs thrashing last week, it ain't impossible, says Nodos. And cheers for the live stream, Hamish. You're doing a good job as usual. Sounds like the Highlanders are doing well considering the Chiefs' late form. The form lately. Yeah, the Chiefs, the start of this game was incredible. 4 6 minutes into the game, we saw the Samapeni Finau try. Then 11 minutes in, then the 14 minutes in, they slowed the Colonel down. They did. Although I don't know if they actually slow it down per se, or whether it's just like that's the program, but it seems to be that they choose the Colonel based on who's racing him a little bit. I'd prefer if the Colonel just ran the same speed. I feel like that would be a lot easier. And Chiefs must keep it tight. Don't need to throw Hail Mary kicks and passes. But that's something that we haven't seen from them in the last about 15 minutes. Ever since Tapai went off, Jacob went on, there's hardly been any attack coming from this Chiefs side. Did you just say Dave got touched up by the Colonel? He did. But Dave won $500 of KFC. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, he'll be happy with the chicken. Quinn is a loss, pity. He started like a house on fire. Says to him. And Colonel's always slow. Says, you're rough. They are just shying that try off Timothy Tavanawai. Like I mentioned, he was very close to blowing that opportunity. Do you give Crusaders a chance against the Brumbies? They've definitely got a chance. Like, they come in as slight favourites into that game. And, you know, like either of those teams could win that contest. It could be split by 3 points, or it could be split by 15 if one side shows up. All I'll say, though, is the Crusaders from their last performance will have to do a lot more right to be able to beat the Brumbies in Australia. Because up against the Highlanders, like, yes, the Highlanders had some great moments, but the Crusaders just seemed lost at times. They had hardly any territory in their favour. And if it wasn't for a few missed kicks from the Landers, they would have lost that game. I'm seriously impressed with the score of the points difference between Moana and Pacifica last week. I thought it would be another wipeout this week, and the first 15 minutes looked like it could have been 2. Started off with 19-0 in favour of this Chiefs side. Man, that's crazy. When you tackle lazy like that at 15, that is your last defender before the goal line, says Mr. All-In. If the Chiefs lose and Crusaders win with a bonus point top dog, incorrect. Not the case, unfortunately, for them, because of their points differential. As you can see here, the Crusaders would have to beat the Brumbies by 120 points to be able to get that top of the table, even if they were to receive the bonus point for it. Now, I think I can have a quick look just to make sure, but I'll just get the order of the points breaker or like tiebreaker situations. Because maybe it's head-to-head results, in which case I think it would still go the way of not the Crusaders. So, I'll move that over here. So, ladies and gents, competition points tiebreakers. Most wins is at the top of the bunch. So, if the Chiefs win and the Crusaders win, they both have 11. Then it goes to points difference. So, from that, Chiefs will win and go as the top qualifier out of those two teams. The next one is most tries. That also goes to the Chiefs. Tries difference. That also goes to the Chiefs. And then a coin toss. Who doesn't love tossing a coin every once in a while? But, yeah. So Chiefs 46 points. Crusaders 48. Oh, sorry, if the Chiefs... Yeah, no, if the Chiefs lose, they're going to be lower, of course. But if they do still win without the bonus, like someone said earlier on, we have got there as well. As a Dave, I feel abuse is fleshing. Out of Chiefs like in top spot. All they have to do is win this game. It's pretty much the gist of it. But then, of course, the Crusaders also have to beat the Brumbies if the Chiefs were to lose this contest. And looking at the dressing room for the Chiefs don't look focused. I think they were all either watching a TV or the coach. It's one of the two. They're either watching a show or they're watching the coach try and fire them up. That bloke's dancing in the stands. He is loving it. He's doing the floss. Oh, I thought he was about to... Oh, he's got about 4 Highlanders kits on. I feel like he's a hired act by the looks of it. So he's going to take another shirt off. He's got the 3rd Highlanders kit. Yeah, this seems like a set-up act of some sort. I think at the Crusaders game, they had a race at halftime. And that one was a race to see how many layers that man could take off before the security got him. I'm going to be slightly annoyed with Daughter. I have the Highlanders win this and miss the atmosphere. Says Jason, although you did say she was sick. So, of course, should probably hope that she's all right first rather than worrying about whether or not you got to go to the game. We have got there Stevenson tackling only thing stalling AB's career. says Shane. And the big problem is, like, I'm going to have a tricky decision to make because I'm going to be doing a All Blacks squad prediction. And the thing is, on attack, you'd pick Stevenson, but like people have said, his defence at times can go a little bit dodgy. But the thing is, if you don't select him, you get a lot of stick. If you do select him, you get a lot of stick. He's one of those guys that no matter whether you select him or not, you're going to get stick for it. So at the moment, I'd say it's still maybe about 60-40 in terms of people selecting him. We have got there Man Stuff KFC. It gave me food poisoning. That lasted 3 days, never again. Says Def. You know, there's a few stories like that. For $500 worth of the stuff, you'd certainly be running the gauntlet a little bit. Do you think Basilio would be picked for the All Blacks? He's actually a really hard one to say because he doesn't get a lot of game time for the Hurricanes, as they normally go Lomax in that starting side. He hasn't completely lit the world on fire this year, but at the same time, like Robinson might go, he was in the environment last year, we liked what he did, so we'll select him. But then if that's the case, does that mean someone like Rieko Ioane is still going to get selected in the squad because of what he's done in the past? Of course, very different to what Basilio Tosi has, but it'll be interesting. What's your thoughts on the World Rugby Club Championship? Which hemisphere would it favour? I think at the moment, New Zealand and Australia for Super Rugby get about 6 teams in it, so I think that they're probably doing not too badly overall compared to, I think the Premiership might only get 1 or 2 teams. So the Kiwis will like their chances as well as the Aussies. She seemed better after I said we didn't have to go. Funny that, hint, hint, says Jason. Sounds like you're going to have to find yourself a babysitter down there. And then in that case, you know, you'd still get to go to the rugby, plus she gets looked after. It's a win-win. I stopped eating KFC when I found out they cooked with vegetable oil and canola. I want my heart attack. Wait, so you wanted them to give you a heart attack is what you said, you were rough. I believe that's what you said anyway. The dancer's so embarrassed by the Landers, he is throwing his jersey away. 35 players are Hamish. It's still a few, isn't it? I think it's 20 forwards, 15 backs. Going to be the selection split. The second half of this contest must be pretty close to getting underway. The next game that is taking place, it is going to be the match between the Crusaders and the Brumbies. They're going to be playing at GIO Stadium in about an hour and 20 minutes time. I will be covering that one on the channel too. And that will determine a little bit in terms of the top 3. As today is pretty much the day of who's going to be first, second and third. And tomorrow is the day of who's going to be playing those 3 sides. So if it stayed the way that it is at the end of this round with what we have currently, it would be the Chiefs versus Moana Pacifico. Of course, that might change based off those games tomorrow. It would be Crusaders versus Reds and then Brumbies versus Hurricanes. But the benefit we've got is multiple games mean multiple things for this round, and they all have a bit of an opportunity to throw a bit of a curveball in, which is good. That's what we want. Every once in a while, a curveball is not a bad thing in a competition. I think that the biggest curveball will be who is the side that get the lifeline in the semi-finals. The highest ranked loser, they go through, but they lose a spot in the semis in terms of a placing spot. They will still be through. Okay, now those ones are dancing. Yeah, now this is the hired like entertainment, I would say. And we have got there Quintapai face looks. Yeah, it didn't look good, did it? Okay, nasty lump on the forehead and the eye, but he looks okay, is the comment from Clayton McMillan, so hopefully he's going to be all right. He stayed down for a long time for a bloke who looks okay. Sorry, but you probably explained this. What happens if the Chiefs lose this game? So if they lose this game, whoever wins between the Brumbies and the Crusaders go to number 1. And that would mean that the Chiefs can finish in second at lowest. Do you reckon that Ethan de Groot will be in the All Blacks? I reckon he will, because who's a better prop than him besides the mighty Williams? Says William Crosby. I do think that Ollie Norris has got a really good chance as well, though, of making it into the environment. Now, that's not guaranteeing that he'll be in there. We might see Robertson select someone like a George Bower instead. And we have got there or remain loyal to most of last year's team. So I won't give out jerseys just for the sake of it, says Patrick. Well, it wouldn't really be for the sake of it. It would be based off form. But yeah, it's a tricky one to balance as a coach, isn't it? Because you want to build the loyalty between the guys who you were with last year, who honestly didn't have a bad winning record. That's going to be an early try. 50 seconds in. Xavier Rowe out wide. Little bit of a sleepy moment there for the Highlanders at the start of the half, and they have conceded in 45 seconds. That looked a bit too easy. Definitely when the Highlanders went through all that trouble of trying to get themselves back into the contest, just to have a rolling maul near the start, off to the short side, big fend coming in from Bradley Slater, and damn, just like that, yeah, just changing the momentum completely. As Papali'i number 8 for the All Blacks? I don't think so. I don't even think he's number 7 at the moment. Papali'i, based off current form. He might be in the squad, but yeah, he's one of those guys that are a bit 50-50 anyway, I think, at the moment in terms of selection. Because it just depends on what their plan is for that number 7 jersey, whether or not they see Xavier as a guy that they would go with. And second half started. Second half did start, yeah. Pretty much we had the kickoff, and then they scored right afterwards. And that kick has gone over from Damian McKenzie, making the score now 26 points to 14. And for ABC, Scott better make the changes after average last year, says Shane. And Karifi looking to take a spot, says Colin. Oh yeah, no, someone's got a few little hand cowbells by the looks of that. Now, going to be kicked off. Wallace Atiti, he has gone back out onto the field. That was for Dyer, who does come back from his yellow card. Tupavai again. A brilliant run. Jacobson, quick hands on the outside to Jacob, who sold the dummy. Cuts back inwards, gives it off to Slade, who just drops the ball forward. I think Jacob should have shifted that one to the right to Carter. And you wonder whether or not that was another try opportunity that was just squandered. A brilliant run from Tupavai. Just decided to go after it. But yeah, just cutting back inwards, Jacob. And not able to get that pass away for Slater. Most of the players will tell you it's a big step up from Super Rugby to Test Rugby. Says Patrick, it is. But, you know, some of these guys, if they aren't selected now, they're going to go overseas. And they're going to lose them to Japan, to France, to England. Looks like Cam Miller might have a bit of a knee injury here on the left-hand side. They were handing the small cowbells out. The Chiefs' home game last week. And Vai having a whale of a time. I do see a Tino Satoro is also off the field at the moment. What happened to him? I think that who would have? Oh, that would have been Manasa Mataeli who actually makes his way on for the Chiefs. But I don't know what the seriousness is of Atene Satoro's injury. With the fact that they've taken him off at halftime after having such a long layoff, though, is a bit of a concern. Chiefs are stacked, says William. Oh, that's going to be the penalty going the way of the Highlanders. They will now be able to clear their lines. Jacob stayed on, says Rodney. Yeah, so Jacob stayed on for Tupai, but Manasa Mataeli is also now on. That is for Atene Satoro. And how heated the Chiefs coach was in the locker room, or wonder how heated, sorry. Wonder if he was upset about the scoreboard being that close. Oh, that one hasn't found touch for the Highlanders, which does mean that the Chiefs will be able to continue their attack. Going up to the left-hand side, Manasa Mataeli goes across to Josh Jacob. Missed tackle from Timothy Tava Nawai, but Tenuelu Talia does finish it off. Back across to the right. This is where the Chiefs have been dangerous throughout this game, where they're able to get some open space. Summer Penny female pass on the outside to Leroy Carter. Gonna go for the chip and chase. Got plenty of speed and all. Just put down by Jacob Ratamatavuki Nepkins. I'll go back for the 22 dropout. Leroy Carter just feeling that one. In fact, it will be a goal line dropout, rather than the 22 dropout. Went for the chip, and then Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. Oh! Tell you what, a simultaneous put down between Ratamaitavuki Nepkins and Carter, but it was Ratamaitavuki Nepkins who did have the ball first. Does anyone else wish that instead of the Lions tour versus the country or Super Rugby teams? Southern Hemisphere team, says William. So I assume you're saying like a Southern Lions heading north type of situation. It'd be interesting to see if they'd ever sign off. Oh, that's another big run. Wallace Satiti, 5 metres out. Xavier Rowe going off to the left-hand side. Was it knocked on by Stevenson? They've said it's gone backwards. Now Rowe, Costa Bradley Slater, they are playing under penalty advantage here as well for the Chiefs. Another step from Rowe, flicks it up into the hands of Holland. I think that's for Jonah Lowe being offside. Oh, looks like a little bit of push and shove going on here. Vai trying to get in the face of Holland. Jack Taylor does decide to get in between it. Now, I'm not too sure who started that. Vai's laughing, so he's going to be very careful doing something like that when you've got a penalty advantage. Or else all you're getting is reverse penalty. Right, so Jonah Lowe was offside. Doesn't seem like anything more is coming. Okay, it wasn't you, it was between the other locks. So that must have been Josh Lord and Fabian Holland. Just seeing a big run from Satiti. Never got to see who actually started that one. And now 5 metres out from the line, Bradley Slater. We're going to throw this one. All test players start at super level. It's going to be earned through form, says Shane. Now gone down. Sitting 5 metres out from the line, Bradley Slater. So Sean Withy over the ball and he wins the penalty for the Highlanders. Oh, now Ethan de Groot pushing Tupavai. We've got to be very careful here for both of these sides or someone's probably going to get themselves in trouble for doing something they shouldn't. Now, they will kick this one towards the touchline. And let's go, Landers, says Matt. And Wedgie's in here pulling, says you're rough. It's going to be put into touch by Miller. About 25 metres out from the line. Who scored for the Chiefs, says Corbin. So far we have seen Sama Penifina, Tupavai, Xavier Rowe, and one more. Was it Bradley Slater? Scored the other one? I can't actually remember. Or was that? No, it might have been 2 for Tupavai, actually, now that I think about it. I think he's got a double in this contest. Now Falapa goes off to Taylor. Good ball to Holland, but it was just a bit behind him. It's going to be now the advantage. They'll go back for the scrum in favour of the Chiefs. About 35 metres out from the Landers line. Rose, says Williams. So yeah, Rose scored at the start of the second half. Did he score 2 in the first half? Who's refereeing? It's Ben O'Keefe in charge of this one. Looks like there's a bit of an injury here for that. Looks like Wallace Satiti with his legs in the air. Like he's giving birth. Oh no, he's all right. Finished the labour and now he's back to his feet ready for the scrum. When's the AB side name? 23rd of June is when the side will be announced. Hopefully soon, says Williams. So yeah, we're still got another about 24 days. When is the Blues match on? They are playing at 4:35 p.m. tomorrow. They will be going head-to-head up against the Waratahs. Whoever wins that game at that very moment will book themselves a spot in the top 6. And then it's up to Moana Pacifica to see whether or not they can take that spot from them. I thought it was tomorrow for some reason. Not quite. I think it's normally the Monday after. I think it's the Monday after the final is normally when they do it. But yeah, it feels like we're about time for it to be announced. So I can understand why you'd think that. Because it just seems like we're right in the mix of when we normally see it. But I think it's normally announced. Actually, it might be last year. It was the week before the final, wasn't it? So it might be the same here. It was only a month out, pretty much, says Matt. And Rugby versus AFL, who more best? Who more best? As in, the better is the sports, or you're talking about the video games? Because I know that AFL recently came out, and it's had mixed reviews just like Rugby 25. Cam Miller going to put this ball up high down towards the halfway line. That's going to be slapped on by Jacob Ratamaitavuki Netkin, so he has given away the knock-on advantage. Holland told that he was on his knee, so isn't able to go for that one row. Oh, after Sean Stevenson, big shot from Lasanga. Still there again. Have you eaten yet? I did eat. Yeah, I ate before the stream. I think France should bring their best, given we only lost to them last year by a small margin. I think the ABs will put 50 on their best. That's a bold statement. Like, France are pretty good at the moment in terms of their team. But, yeah, it would be interesting to see what type of side that they can put together. And Chiefs have had some unexpected losses. Losing to 3 teams, of which are all in the bottom of the table, with the Wires at 8th place. I hope that it doesn't happen in this game. Says not Ost. Yeah, it would be one of the worst games. Of course, the playoff games would be worse. But it would be one of the worst games for them to lose just because they'd lose that home final. At least maybe. Tupavai ends up giving away a penalty there. Such a happy mood at the moment he's in, because he's smiling every time. Right. Highlanders taking on 3 points here. This is an interesting choice. We have better hammy. You have no faith, my man, says you're rough. I'm also thinking about the fact that France have played international games this year. And like the All Blacks haven't. And we normally take 1 or 2 games to really gel. But those 1 or 2 games will be up against the French in the opening contest. And who does everyone All Black captain? Mine's Artie Savia, but Razor will probably go for Scott Barrett. Yeah, I think a lot of people have Savia up there. Definitely after what he's been able to do this year. Now Miller. That's an easy 3 points and does get it over. Now going to make the score at 17 points to 26. So they are down by 9, which is why it was a bit of an interesting choice. We got the I Want Vai 6 and Holland 5. Tall Timber debut for France, says Shane. Did my liquor and green run? Who got the try or who got a try? Says Mr. All-In. So we've seen Tupavai, Samapeni Finau, Xavier Rowe, and Timothy Tavanawai and Ethan de Groot. Those are all the try scorers from this match. Now Saulamau. We tackled about 25 metres out from the line, rolling this one back for Lau Whakatava, and leading the ABs will be stressful, as most likely if it will affect Artie's game. Well, it certainly has affected Scott's, that's for sure. Now kicked him behind. Nicely taken by the Chiefs about 30 metres out from their own line. Sean Stevenson runs it back to the halfway line, tackled by Fabian Holland, who is still ticking over those numbers on the overall tacklers of the comp. Now, Xavier Rowe back across to Sean Stevenson. McKenzie on for the kicking behind, and it's gone into touch. And Vela, my brother, says you're rough. Artie be best as an impact player off the bench, in my opinion, and Tavanawai will make the All Blacks. He's got a decent chance. Definitely with the likes of, we've just seen Anton Leonard-Brown recently end up with the injury. We're seeing Quintupaia from this game. Looks like now reinforcements making their way off the bench for the Chiefs. Simasoni Taukiaho slapping his shoulders. Ollie Norris makes his way on. We also see the change for the Highlanders of Umaga Jensen and Tavanawai better, says William. And Chiefs supposed to be the best team, says Grip Boy. True, yeah. They did have a massive win last week by 70-something points. Coming into this game, they did start it with 19 points in the first about 14 minutes, but since then, Highlanders have been doing pretty nicely. Nicely taken by Leroy Carter. Tackled low by Thomas Umaga Jensen. Hamish has a girlfriend. His name is George. Says Pads Ablaze. I don't know if that's a true story. That one's going to go into touch again. So the Chiefs at the moment are playing territory rugby. They're kicking it into touch any chance they get. The Highlanders trying to run it back, but they aren't making a huge amount of distance. And Artie is good. But as he said last week, he had no idea why they were getting passed by the Chiefs and couldn't turn them around. Great effort he always gives, but the All Blacks need more. than that from a leader. So do you think they get that from Scott Barrett out of curiosity, or do you think that someone else is the one that they need to find? Let's go Chiefs Mana at 50 on France, not with the current 15. Now, Xavier Rowe on the halfway line. 53 minutes in at the moment. Score 26-17. So still time for both of these sides to secure a victory. Josh Jacob considering the cross kick again, but he's shut down by the Highlanders. They've done a lot better since he's made his way onto the field, which does sound harsh, and maybe it's just a little bit of a coincidence. Are we hating on Artie now? See his pads of legs? It seems to be that way, doesn't it? Like, people have gone from singing his praises 2 weeks ago to now people have turned against him. But it seems to be a week-by-week thing. Like, when he has a big game, everyone's like, he's the best player in the world. When he is in the team that loses to the Blues by a lot, people go, forget him. But, like, he's a world-class player, isn't he? With Tobias missing, it is taken away for the launch pad for the Chiefs attacks. Here's Rodney. And Dibisi Karefi for the AB's captain. Don't know how to spell his name. You weren't a mile off, to be fair, and I guess sounding it out, it almost looks right. I don't know, hate for Artie. He's a one-man army, give him a break, says Matt. That one's going to be kicked in touch by Sean Stevenson. The Highlanders winning, once again, the territory battle. Now about 38 metres out. Azamoni Narua, okay, injured. He's injured at the moment. No Akoi at the moment. Just warming up his hands on the ball. Now, charging for. That was a big run from Thomas Umunga Jensen. Artie is our captain. Scott Barrett is a good player, but not a great like Artie. Is it possibly based on the table at the moment for the Hurricanes versus Chiefs final? I believe it can happen. Based off the current rankings. Oh, that was almost a steal for Wallace Atiti. A lot of pressure in the breakdown, but the Highlanders have somehow still got that. Now charging forward, Ethan Agru pops it up to Holland. They're trying to get something going here, the Landers, and they need it to happen soon. They're down by the 9 points, which isn't a massive margin, but the Chiefs have been able to strike in very quick succession when they get it right. Why did Atene go off? I believe an injury of some sort. I'm not too sure what the extent of the injury is, though. But now, back across to the left-hand side, Ethan Negru. Tackled in by Tupo Vai, and the ball was almost stolen by Lord. Now pick and go again, the youngster Lennox. Trying his best to find meters, and he's run straight into the Chiefs. Are we happy there that the Chiefs have a bonus point? At the moment, they do not know. They would need one more try to get back into the bonus point position. But they don't actually need a bonus point. They just need to win this game. Because unless the Crusaders win their game by 120 points, they aren't finishing first in the overall standings. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the way that it sits. Will Chiefs get another try? I would like to think so. If they didn't, I would be extremely surprised. We have got their Finau knock on, says Hanoi. And we have got their, or they are just managing his hamstring. Maybe a little bit, yeah. He's just come back from a long layoff. And maybe they've realised with that injury of Quintupai that they do need everyone that they can have for those playoff games. It's going to be an advantage going against the Highlanders for side entry. I'll roll with it then. Says Matt. And Artie's leading by example, except for last week and a few other times as well. Consistency issues. So is that Artie Savia's consistency issue, or is that Moana Pacifica's consistency issue? Because we've got to remember, he's just one player in a game of 23 on his side. So, like, if he's not firing, it's one thing. But if his whole team aren't firing either, like, that's pretty rough to blame one guy for it. As there are a lot of players this year who have had much less impact than Savia and been praised all the time. Are you covering Reds versus Drill tomorrow? Possibly not that one. I think because of when the Champions Cup quarterfinals starts, there'll be a slight overlap. So we might end up getting to say about the last 10 minutes of that game during the start of the Champions Cup game. But I don't think we'll be covering in full. You think last week it was all Artie? I mean, only try they got was him. Like, come on, bro. Says pads ablaze. Could be the team, I guess. Yeah. Now Samasoni Taukiaho. Nicely taken. Naitoa Koe. Do see there that Soane Vakina has made his way on for the Highlanders. I'd love to have Artie in my team, club or country. Says Fleshin. And he's a solid, nice step from Xavier Rowe. Pops the ball up, it's loose, but picked up by McKenzie, who will not quite get over the try line. Just not quite enough size about him to be able to get through Tenuelu Talia, but the Chiefs are on the verge of another try. Ollie Norris, back across to the right-hand side here again for Taukiaho. Now Rowe, back across, skip pass on the outside for Manasa Mataeli. And he does score the try. Arabia is the winner on the day, says Jason Hamilton. And on form, think Rico doesn't deserve an AB spot. It's not chosen this year. You would think he's done in the black jersey. Yeah, well, he's going overseas anyway, so that's normally a bit more of a 50-50 of whether they're going to keep on getting selected, depending on if he decides to go somewhere else, although I think he's just on the sabbatical. And what do you think could cause the Chiefs to win that much? Honestly, it was one of the best performances from a side we've seen, not just in Super Rugby this year, but in the last few years. Like, he just kept on, not he, but they, being the Chiefs, just kept on finding gaps. They were clinical, and it was one of the sharpest games that we've seen from any side in a long time. Artie is a solid player, he leads by example. And if the team played with more heart like him, then Moana would be feared team. Says Death. And that one's missed away to the side. 26th try for Manasa Mataeli. Score now sitting at 31 points to 17. You wonder whether or not the Highlanders are regretting that choice of going for the 3 points. And push Chiefs, says Novmum. And last week, Moana got thrashed, I thought. They did last week, but then the week before they beat the Blues. They've also beaten every New Zealand side apart from the Chiefs this year, which not really, in fact, no Australian side can say that. And half the New Zealand sides also can't say that. So, they're doing pretty well. Going off to the right-hand side, Jakarata Matavuki Nepkins. And we have got their positive breeds positive, so Artie's still AB solid. Pick Plus can't base Moana's year on one game. Yeah, exactly. Like, what Moana have done this year is, even if they miss out on the playoffs, which would be a massive shame for them, but it is a possibility just at this stage. What they've been able to do this season is something that no one predicted. And honestly, for them to finish as high as they did is incredible. Whether you like to admit it or not, like, a lot of people, even with the Savia transition, remember at the start of the year, people were like, well, Savia's not going to make the difference to a team. Certainly helped them a little bit. And it seems like they've kind of got that winner's mindset now, which is something that they lacked last season. Pellegrini's been outstanding for them as well. William Harvili getting injured, I think, was a massive shame, as that seemed to kill a little bit of the momentum that they were creating in terms of that cohesion in the back line. Now back across the left-hand side. And another try. Chiefs come on and agreed. So good for the Islands. Says Beach, yeah, exactly right. It's put Moana Pacifica on the map. You know, you're hearing of guys from the north who are choosing them as their side in Super Rugby, which is absolutely awesome to see. Now, going back off to the left-hand side. Tupavai, Xavier Rowe. Once again, target that short side, which is what they did early on in this contest too. Currently sitting with 18 minutes remaining. They have got the bonus point in play just for now. Naitoa Akoi back across to the right-hand side. Taukiaho getting close. And just short. And the Highlanders have managed to get themselves another goal line penalty. Is his corner, so he's pretty much unstoppable now, says Johnny. And Artie targeted to have to tackle to defend, taking away his ability to pick and choose how/when, and where he inserts himself for maximum impact, says Anthony. And I will be cheering for the Canes tomorrow anyway, says Patrick. And of course, I mean, you look at how good they were at times with Savia in their setup as well. He's done the same thing for Moana in terms of just taking them to that next level. Canes have taken a while, but they've found their rhythm now, though, and I feel like they've peaked at the right time. You have a couple of Moana shirts, definitely my Super Rugby team nowadays, says Fleshin. And here's Johnny. And we have got their, these are all the best member, and China will fund Drua and Moana before you know it, says Jason. And it's still hard to comprehend such a thrashing, says Dion. It is. And, you know, it's one of those ones that will hurt for a while for Moana. But the thing is, they can only let it hurt them for 1 week. They're back in action tomorrow up against the Hurricanes. A side that they beat earlier on this season. And if they do it again, and they do whatever the Blues do in their game, they will end up going through to their playoff game. You're doing just the Black Ferns World Cup games. What's your opinion on doing the Under-20 World Cup, aka the Championships? Depends on scheduling a little bit. Like, of course, we would have liked to do the Pacific Champions Cup, but I was going to be busy for at least 2 of those games, so it just seemed like it wasn't quite going to work out. And Moana Pacifica home ground is North Harbour Stadium. They also play at, what's the other one that they've got? They play at 2 different ones, don't they? Which, of course, I can't think of the other one, unfortunately. Oh, that one's going to be dropped. Is it in Pukekohe, the other one? It's going to be the penalty on the way of the Chiefs once again. Moana will win tomorrow, says him. We have there, yes, mate. Saturation diver in a 5-day decompression back in New Zealand, says Beach. Talk about the game. Well, we've got a shot at the post here for Damien McKenzie. Would you like to know how much he smiles? Because I can let you know. I'll tell you how many teeth he shows. Clayton McMillan on the walkie-talkie just accidentally gave the finger because he scratched his face. Now McKenzie. Ball is approximately, I would say, 12.4 centimetres off the ground. There you go. These are the type of bits of information everyone needs to know. Here comes McKenzie's smile. And 16 teeth, my guess, says Bads Ablaze. And I got them Botox balls. What? And McKenzie gets the strike over. Sadly, we didn't get to see the smile in real time, but 15 minutes remaining, and the score is 31 points to 17. A great choice. Keep it 13 over, baby. Says Mr. All and I, Hamish. Says Patrick. And we have got there, what is your score prediction on the Reds versus Draw? Honestly, that's the type of game that either the Draw will come out absolutely firing. Looks like Quinn Tupai, he has got a bit of a cut on the eyelid. That one will swell up badly, I would think. But hopefully no concussion, because he stayed down for a long time. Now, going to be taken by the Chiefs. They are inside of the 22. And Damien is the best, says Moa Hunters. And we have got there, we are a month away from the Under-20 Championships, says Kiwi Rob. Did Stevenson get injured too? Ateno Nana Satoro came off at half time. I think Stevenson's been out there for this whole half. Maybe, or no, Lennox was on earlier, wasn't he? Oh no, that's for the Highlanders. I'm looking around for Stevenson, trying to find him. Once again, the Chiefs trying to steal that ball, and I think they may just have got it. Well, Leroy Carter, yes, they did. Well, Jordan playing, he is not. Sadly, for another couple of weeks, that man is going to be missing. But he looked like he was doing all right at the stadium last week, so that's good news. Do you think this year's team... Oh, no, that's going to be a big run from Manasa Mateli. We'll come back to that in a second. 45 metres out from the line here for the Chiefs. Rona. Oh, looked like he might have had a little bit of an injury there too. Xavier Rowe, he's had a standout type of game here. When McKenzie smiles, he looks like a Titan from Attack on the Titan. Says Fleshin. Now on the halfway line. Tupavai. Across to the left-hand side. Little pop ball up to Luke Jacobson. Now kicking him behind Damien McKenzie. Hasn't quite got that one right, and it's gone straight into the hands of Sam Gilbert. WTF, he has done 9 points in fantasy point, says Beds Ablaze. Yeah, he's kind of disappeared in the second half. I think that's because of the fact that they've got Jacob and McKenzie out there now, though. So that's kind of caused them to play with two I guess, options. Whereas earlier on in the game, Sean Stevenson was the second running option. Jordan is injured again. Yeah, he's got his Achilles. Or, no, sorry, it might be... It's the knee, or it was something in the lower leg anyway. But he's going to be back in 1 to 2 weeks by the sounds of it. I think Chiefs cover minus 23.5. I'll be honest, I don't know anymore. Like at the start of the game when they were on fire, I thought maybe. But currently 7 points or 17 points difference. So they still need a converted try. And the Highlanders are on attack here. I don't know if they'll get there. Be thrown in, nicely taken. And the line out, Lasanga. That ball not quite going into the hands of Sawane Vakina, but a good run forward from Lennox. Offloads up to Lasanga. Now 15 metres out from the line, pick and go. Ollie Norris trying to get that steal. Cortez Ratama, or the Blues 9 for the All Blacks. Cortez. I assume Blues 9, you're talking about Finley Christie, but yeah, I'll go Ratama every day of the week. Now, Tenuelu Talia, alt player injured. Jacobson stayed down. I think he's taken a head knock here. Pick and go from Fabian Holland. They are currently playing with 14 on the field here, the Chiefs. Popping it up again. I think Ben O'Keefe's just realised that there is the player there. There's an advantage now in favour of the Highlanders, who will be only a couple metres short of the try line. Jonah Lowe, pick and go, no way through the Chiefs' defence there. Now slinging the ball out to Sam Gilbert. Wide cut out pass to Lasanga, but it was forward. So they will go back. Do we have bonus point yet? They do at the moment, yes. One more try from the Highlanders would take that away, though. Looks like Jacobson has stayed down a bit longer after that first initial time. And we have there Roygard says, Panzer Blades, how's that Crib playing? Ty Crib, he's been all right. Like, I think that Holland's, in the nicest way possible, he's overshadowed him a bit, but that's just what Holland's been doing this year. He's just been causing everyone who's like been in that locking duo with him to slightly disappear. But no, he's had some decent moments. They have taken him off now, though, as the only thing. They've got Will Stoddard on. But yeah, not a bad first half. I think that they were relatively competitive at line-out time. And now, rolling this one back for Cortez Ratama. Roygard burst joins for the ABs. 10 minutes go, says Novmum. Oh, touched by the Highlanders here, which does mean that it will be a line-out throw for the Chiefs. About 40 metres out from their own line. And Chiefs, says Mikkel. And that Jordan highlights all as Chiefs tries is amazing to watch. 30-old try. Yeah, he's a very impressive talent, and he's got plenty more left in the tank as well. So, yeah, hopefully he can avoid those injuries in the future. Recover from this one well. All rush defence on McKenzie. Gets taken down. I think that was Sawane Vakena, but it's going to be knocked on by Jacob Ratamata. Buki Nipkins now across to Ratama. Finds Mata Early. Ball on the outside of Stevenson, who's passed it forward by about 3 metres. They will go back for the scrum in favour of the Landers. Jacobson, man loves a beer or two, or it doesn't. A bottle of whiskey. I can hear the cowbells ringing, says Obi. Yeah, all the Chiefs need is the victory here. Unless the Highlanders can somehow score 3 tries in the last 9 minutes, the Chiefs will confirm that number 1 spot, which means if they win all their games up until the final, it's going to be happening at FMG for the final of Super Rugby. Unless, and there is a big unless the Chiefs were to lose their next game. It's a playoff final, but if the Chiefs were to lose it, they would actually get the lifeline. They would go through to the next stage of the comp, but they would lose their number 1 ranking, which would mean they'd be in the second semi-final rather than the first one. It's a little bit confusing, but we'll of course explain it as it happens, but I don't think the Chiefs will be planning on losing their next contest, although they'll be going up against either the Blues, or that's a good attack and run from Thomas Umangajenta, the Blues, Waratahs, or Moana Pacifica. Oh, little grabber in behind. Sam Gilbert gets the ball, puts it down. And that might be his last try in Highlanders colours. The man's heading overseas. He's got the try there. That takes away the bonus point. But once again, bonus point's pretty irrelevant in this matchup for the Chiefs. Unless the Crusaders beat the Brumbies by 120 points, the bonus point doesn't really change much. We have there. Sheesh says Mr. Orlin. And do the Chiefs have any other grounds they on? No, they normally just go FMG. I mean, they have taken it to other locations every once in a while, but it will be at FMG for the final if they do make it that far. Yes, it does. As in, it does matter. Okay, so we'll just show it once again. In what way would you say that the bonus point is relevant here for the Chiefs? Because if they win this game, even if the Crusaders win with a bonus point and win by 100 points, they still don't catch the Chiefs in number 1 spot. So the only thing at this stage that the bonus point changes is that it looks better if the Chiefs are one more ahead than anyone else. That's it. No matter what, they're number 1 here. With the way that it sits currently, unless they go on to lose this game. Or draw it. If they draw it, could change things. Now the Highlanders hanging on to this ball. Thanks, Sam. You will be missed. Says it was there from Jason. And Sam Gilbert heading to Ireland, another New Zealand import who will end up playing for Ireland. Probably. Satyrs would need to win by 127 points. Yeah. We have got there one more try. Chiefs says him. I think I was always savage in a nice way. Well, I try and do it in a nice way. But, yeah. Samasoni Tokiaho. Now sitting 35 metres out from the line. Ratama goes across to Simon Park, who did get the opportunity off the bench in this game rather than in the starting side. But Finau's been impressive in that 6th jersey. He actually made his way on for Jacobson. And if that happens, I will buy him Weirasata's top. Says Pads Ablaze. Yeah, it won't happen. If it does, I don't even know what we could do for if the Crusaders won their game by 127 points. Because that's the thing. That's not just getting 127. That's winning it by that much. But that one's going to be another penalty going the way of the Chiefs. Started watching your channel this rugby season, and I've noticed your viewers steadily growing over the weeks. Good to see your channel thriving, says Pro Pleb. And I do appreciate you guys being here week in, week out for these live streams. Oh, it's actually the Highlanders who got the penalty, sorry, not the Chiefs. Yeah, we're building pretty much straight into the playoff games. The URC taking place this weekend for the quarterfinals. We are covering them on the channel, and then from there, got international rugby coming back. And so they just won't get 100 because they got David Havili, who's been playing since Moses led the Hebrews out of Egypt. Oi, says Novmum for number 1. And go the Highlanders, says Stu's World. Now line out throw for Sawani Vakina. Wouldn't it be something? 2 quick fire tries from the Highlanders in the last 4 minutes to change the outcome of this season. The thing is, though, they're looking like they're trying. AS Pro, Hamish pays and tips well, says Jason. It's good to see the other teams get some of the spotlight from a Cantabrian, says Beach. Now nice backline, Sawani Vakina moving up to 22 metres out. Even a draw would make things interesting at the end. Nice attack and run from Gilbert. Ball on the inside. And he's going to be held up. That is brilliant work from Cortez Ratama. That has just saved a certain try for the Chiefs. He clearly gets under it, says Ben O'Keefe. That is a massive moment. Lennox was hoping he had the weight of a prop, but Cortez Ratama had a weight of a region on his shoulders there to make sure he kept underneath that ball. And that is phenomenal work. So once again, for the question earlier on, Ratama or Christie, I think that just gave us the answer. All these Kiwi players headed to Ireland to play when the IRU are cutting back on provincial funding. Says Bleshin. Now nice take there for the Highlanders. 3 minutes remaining. They needed that try, and that could have really changed things. And JT has said, I'm a silent viewer. I enjoy listening to you commentating. But I do not comment a lot. That's all good. I think there are quite a few people like that. In fact, there are probably some people watching who maybe have watched multiple streams, never left a comment. But that's okay. We know you guys are there, the silent viewers. We've seen a few. My Nana is one. She watches the occasional stream just to pop in and see what I'm up to. I don't think she's ever commented though. I don't even know. Oh, she might know how. She's pretty tech savvy. Shout out to you, Nana, if you're watching. But now kicked in behind. Nice take there for Timothy Tava na wai. He will run this one forward. Sits down Damian McKenzie. Looked a little bit wobbly when he got back up to his feet, as you would be after trying to tackle a rock. Now around the side, Soani Vakina. Now we have get the eye Hamish Nana. And Christie shouldn't even be in the combo for the ABs. Aratama isn't experienced enough for the All Blacks. You are joking, aren't you, Kiwi Rob? You're saying that in like an ironic way. You have to be, but I can't guarantee it. But now, charging for Cortez Ratama, trying to find another gap, but oh no, he hasn't got enough experience, which means he can't play well. Now Sean Stevenson goes off to Xavier Rowe, back across to McKenzie, tries the cross kick, and it's going to hit the post. And it's going to be put down there by the Highlanders in their in-goal area. He's saying he didn't put the ball down. Okay, Sam Gilbert saying that never touched the ground. No, I'm not. Do you know what a debut is, Kiwi Rob? Because fun fact, every single player who was inexperienced was a debutant at one point in their lives. But how do you think they get caps? Do you think they just have to find 50 and then go, hey, half century, here I come. Tell me, did Ratama even make the AB's XV last season? Multiple times he actually made it. Because, of course, they had the injuries of TJ Perenara. And they normally stuck him with Damian McKenzie. And we've got to remember, Roigard only came back in the second half of the season. And we'll get their deep Reaper the Waikato area. And come on, man, Milk. That 3 points, drop goal, whatever. Right, sounds like there's going to be an HIA. They are just showing the live standings. With 1 minute remaining, Chiefs have secured, unless they win by 130 points in the next one for the Crusaders up against the Brumbies. Can we just have the score any points, or do we just have to score any points to get the bonus points? So pretty much it's 3 or more tries than your opposition. Roika, Ratama and Hotham. They have to be 3 halfbacks. Yeah, I agree. I think that those are your 3 best options. Fakatava is probably going to be unlucky again. Looks like, yes, Vakina, who's gone off. I wouldn't put Ratama against the French, but you put Christie? I mean, you can put Christie out there if you don't mind losing, but if you want to try and win, I'd say you go for anyone but him. Nah, he's not that bad, Finley Christie. It's just, by the time he gets the ball out, that's a try for Tupavai. And he's going to get the hat-trick, ladies and gents, in this match. And that brings back the bonus point. The 3 best option and 3 for Vai was there from Rodney. And has this been the longest game? It's been a long time. Experienced over someone making debut against the French. Cortez Ratama has had his debut, Kiwi Rob. You do realise he's not a new bloke like he had last year in the All Blacks environment. I think you're confusing Ratama and Rowe, even though they're quite different players. But, yeah, Rowe hasn't played for the All Blacks, so in that case, maybe you're correct if you were talking about Rowe, but you're not talking about Rowe. You're talking about Ratama, who has got caps for the All Blacks. Now Damian McKenzie, big smile on his face as he does know the bonus point is now secured, and that one has gone over. It was Tupavai for the Chiefs who managed to score that one. You heard a Roigard, says pads ablaze. Kiwi Rob probably doesn't like him because he hasn't got enough caps, unfortunately. Ratama has had a few games now. Yeah, he's not a new bloke on the block anymore. Hotham's had less than him, I believe. We'll quickly have a look. Cortez Ratama All Blacks caps. Has he got any? Yeah, he does. Of course he does. And thanks, Hamish, to Stu's World. And we have got there, thanks, and well done, Chiefs. Thanks, Hamish. Doesn't matter. I would take Christie over Ratama or Romina. I would take Christie over Romina too, because I've never heard of Romina. But Cortez Ratama has got 9 caps for the All Blacks. Fun fact. So he's not a debutant, Kiwi Rob. We have got there, do you think that's this year's team? Or that this team's year are the best you've seen in the last decade? I think that Super Rugby has been more competitive this year than we've seen in a long time. Which is great. Like, we saw every team have a win early on. And It's not much more than you can ask for in terms of upsets happening. Like, we talked about it earlier on, someone mentioned it as well, that like the Chiefs, the losses that they've had, a majority of them have come from sides outside of that top 6. Who were they against though, Hamish? I mean, I could list them, but you also said that he hadn't played for, he hadn't played for the All Blacks up until, you're saying, up against the French, or not against the French, because you don't want him in there because he's a debutant. An avid viewer and appreciative of your channel. Don't comment, nothing to comment on. You do that and I love it. Go the Crusaders, says Fossil Wins, and shout out to you for being here. It is greatly appreciated. We are going to be here for the Crusaders versus Brumbies game. What's the ladder now, says Ricky. So currently, this was the ladder heading into the match, and the ladder now sits with the Chiefs on 51. So no one can catch them at this point. They had to get that bonus point so that people stopped thinking they were going to win their game. Crusaders, that is, winning their game up against the Brumbies by 127 points. Now that they have secured a 6-point lead, there is no catching them. They've got, for now, home playoff, and if they win that home semi, and if they win that home final. Now, if they were to lose their playoff game, and the Crusaders or the Brumbies, whoever second wins their playoff game, they become the number 1 seed for the semi-finals. The Chiefs would come in as number 2 seed and would face the 3rd best team in that regard. A little bit confusing, but we get there in the end. How often do you do commentary collaborations with your friends from Rugby Itch channel, Amish? We were doing them relatively consistently, although sadly this year I don't think we're going to get to do too many, as he is flat out with his study. So I don't even know if we're doing our predictions. In fact, I don't think we are. We talked about it a while ago that he said he's probably going to be too busy to be able to do the lineup predictions for the game. So I've either got to do them by myself or I've got to find someone else to do the predictions with. Jamie Joseph using last medal spoon for the year. He's only played against England and Fiji. And he played in the Rugby Championship, didn't he? Yep, he did. We have got there, how long do you think it will take Taha Kamara to make the All Blacks? I think give him a couple years. All Blacks XV, maybe either, I don't know if it would be this year or next year, but if he's in that environment, that will help him build. Having James O'Connor at the Crusaders, I think, will also kind of carve him in the right direction. Get Kiwi Rob to help with predictions. He seems to know a lot, says Pads Ablaze. And also, Hotham is far superior to Christie currently. Christie has 23. So you're picking Christie because he's got 23 appearances. Not based off form, but based off the fact that he's got 23. So in that regard, Kiwi Rob, should we get Aaron Smith back for the French matches? Because he's got way more caps than Christie. So surely you go with the guy with the experience, don't you? Justin Marshall, get him back out there. He's got experience. You do the colour commentary while playing. I know many people would probably switch off if he did that. Noel, says Patrick. However, there, if Finley Christie makes the All Blacks XV, something's definitely wrong, says Corbin. A commentating state of origin. We do sometimes. We didn't do it for the last one. So probably not. I mean, we could consider it for the other ones. Are you doing the Crusaders game? We certainly are. So that game will be starting in around 25 minutes' time. Halftime score was 19 points to 14 in favour of the Chiefs. So the Highlanders fought back relatively well, but then the Chiefs scoring early on in that second half just blew them out of the water. Aaron Smith isn't allowed because it's not signed. It's not signed to New Zealand Rugby. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? So you're going Christie as your starting 9 up against France, Kiwi Rob. Final answer? We'll have to wait and see. Although, I think if he makes the squad, something's happened in the wrong way. But we'll see. And thanks, bro, says goal. We got a donation from Mr. All and everyone feeling very generous at the end of this one. Thank you very much. Any All Blacks on the Highlanders? I think so. I think that we'll see De Groot in there because they'll go with a bit of consistency. I think they'll put Holland in there because he's been playing out of his skin throughout the season. And I think one of either Timothy Tavatavanawai or Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nipkins will be in there at some point in the near future, whether or not that's in July or whether that's maybe November or the Rugby Championship. I think that's more likely because it's a bigger squad. But I think one of those two will be in there. And I'm picking Christie as the bench 9, says Kiwi Rob. So he's got to make the squad first. Would be a good idea. Last 6 minutes, go Chiefs, go. Oh, sorry, I got to update. Sorry, this game's over. Chiefs actually scored again, 41 points to 24. They managed to get themselves the bonus point. They did very nicely in that regard, and they have now secured that number 1 spot on the overall standings. But nonetheless, we will be popping away for 25 minutes, then back for the next game taking place between the Crusaders and the Brumbies. We've got another one from Johnny Blaze. Thank you very much. Not sure, mate. Kiwi Rob sure knows. Sees Johnny in there too. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you all for the next one.